there are many more roles in the hospital than exist in retail pharmacy. Hey y'all, glad you came. I'm Monique. Welcome and welcome back. Today we're talking all things pharmacy. We're talking about being a certified pharmacy technician in the hospital setting versus retail pharmacy, but more so focusing on the hospital. So let's go ahead and get into the conversation. First of all, I have worked in hospital pharmacy collectively for about 7 years. I have quit and then come back, quit and then come back. I've actually worked overnight in the hospital as well, so I have some experience to share with you all. The first thing is, when you talk about retail versus hospital, the main difference is that in retail pharmacy, you are patient facing. What that means is you do have direct contact with the person receiving the medication. When you get to the hospital, that is exactly the opposite. In the state that I live in, I have no contact with the patient. The patient then becomes the nurse. And so what happens in the hospital is you replace that patient population with the nurse population. So you're working directly with the nurses and the physicians, and more so the nurses, because the nurses are dispensing the medication. So already you have a mind shift because you're not seeing any customers, right? Your customers then become your other colleagues, which is going to be your nurses, people that you work with, right? The people in the hospital. And so that's kind of cool. I think that right there is a big shift. It's a big shift. And to me, it's a good one because it really kind of takes some of the stress off, right? You're not really talking to the patient at all. But then again, you have to learn how to talk to nurses. Now, what this means is, although you're not patient facing, I have some bad news. You still have to answer the phone. I know. The phone in the pharmacy, they go hand in hand. They are together. They are a duo. So yes, the phone is a thing. And on the other side of that phone is going to be nurses and or physicians, not patients. Okay. So again, the good news is no patient facing. The bad news is still got to answer the phone. So what that means is you're still going to have some good phone etiquette and a good understanding of how to help the nurses and the physicians, but primarily the nurses. Okay. And how to help, them get what they want by way of you delivering the message to the pharmacist. So that's that. All right. So when you work in retail pharmacy, you are really familiar with the drive-through, with the cashiering, and with the filling, right? Well, there is, a different setting when you come to the hospital. So a few things you're going to be doing or be exposed to, rather, in the hospital are going to include delivery of medications to nurse station machines, that being the Pyxis. That's the only one I've ever delivered to, but you may have delivered to a different one. You're going to have the IV room, which is where you're going to be making IV medications to deliver to the patients or the nurses that would then give to the patients. All right, so you're going to have compounding, which is where you're making medications in batches for the people that are in the hospital, right? And then you also are going to have pre-packing, which is where you're actually, preparing pills and you're actually separating them into doses. Okay. And then also you have chemotherapy in some hospitals. So those are a few roles that you can have in the hospital. As you can already see, there are many more roles in the hospital than exist in retail pharmacy. And the beauty of it is you can actually be hired for one of those roles to do every single day. That way you get really good at that particular role in the hospital pharmacy setting. Now, depending on where you work as well, you may have a pediatric pharmacy that includes everything that I just mentioned, but for the pediatric patients. Okay, so there are a plethora of areas for you to really grow in knowledge and experience when it comes to working in a hospital setting, in an inpatient setting. Okay, now again, I can only speak on inpatient hospital. I have never worked anywhere else outside of inpatient hospital settings, so that is my experience. All right. Now, which one is my favorite? Personally, delivery is one of my favorite things to do because I have a lot of autonomy, meaning that I have a lot of independence, a lot of time to myself. So I get to actually, get the medications I'm delivering. I get to organize them and put them in different bags or baskets, whatever system you guys use at your pharmacy. And then I go ahead and make my way around the entire hospital. I love this. I love this because I love people, and I just love people watching, and I just love seeing the physicians and the nurses nurses and everybody doing their job, and just going to the different units, and getting familiar with the units as well, because if you don't know, now you know, I'm actually a pre-nursing student. And so I get to, really see with my own two eyes how different units work and where I want to work in a specialty when I do become a nurse. So therefore, I love delivering. Delivering consists of getting your IV medications along with your by mouth medications like your pills and your capsules and different things like that. You get all those things together. You put them in your baskets, whatever that you use to move around the hospital, and then you deliver them to each unit in the medication room. Each medication room is going to have a specific place for you to put the patient's medication according to their room number. So that's how our systems work, and I really do love that. That takes me anywhere from about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much medications I have to deliver. Again, like I said, I get to see all the people and all the nurses, all the medical staff, and it's just fun. I really like it. It really gives me good exercise as well. Definitely get your steps in. So delivering is something I like to do. The next thing up is IVs. Yes, I have worked in the IV room. It is not my favorite thing to do because it does take a lot of concentration. You need to pay attention. You are dealing with a person's medication that goes inside their body, okay? So this is not something that's like a pill that takes time to work through the gut. No, it's going straight to their bloodstream, right? So you really have to pay attention and be detailed, know your math as well. And you have to be okay with being dressed up in PPE, for a long period of time. That can get very hot depending on where you're working, the temperature, and different things like that. Temperatures have to stay at a certain level in IV rooms. There are a lot of different scientific things going on, a lot of different air pressures. So many things. As you can see, it's probably not my favorite thing, but it is fun. I do enjoy it. I would not want to do IVs every day, but there are some people who love doing IVs every day. I like doing IVs as a part of my work. So like if I was going to deliver in the morning and then do IVs for 2 hours, I like doing IVs as a part of my 8-hour shift, not my complete 8-hour shift. It can also be very boring in the sense that you are not as busy as you are when you're outside of the IV room. There's really not a lot of freedom of movement because you have to stay right by the IV room because you're basically waiting on medications to be made. So you have two things happening. You have batches that are being made, as far as like what the patient is already on and it's known. And then you have brand new medications like original prescriptions that are just now coming on to the patient's EMR or whatever, and you're making that. So basically what I'm saying here is that, it's not a lot of freedom of movement and a lot of variation, if you will, because you're basically just in the IV room all day and you have to clean. That's another thing. I'll share that with you. I'm just being honest. These are things people don't talk about, but you have to clean. If you're a short person like myself, that can be a bit of a challenge sometimes because you have to clean very tall, rooms and you have to clean the hoods that you work in. And that's all fine and good. I am not a fan of what the cleaning solution smells like, but that's just me. Again, I'm just telling you about me. But just know that you do have to clean, and sometimes the solutions do have very interesting odors. So there you have it. Don't say I didn't tell you. Let's see what else. The next thing is compounding. Again, compounding, something I love. I love doing compounding. I love the fact that I'm making batch medications that are usually oral medications and or topical skin medications for the different patients in the hospital. It's really fun. I'm not going to talk about what I make because that might give you more information than what you need. But let's just say that I do make topical medications and oral medications for internal digestion, and I do that in batches. And that again is a lot of autonomy. I have a lot of independence. I can be back there in my zone. Depending on where you work, they may let you listen to some type of entertainment while you're working. They may have like a Bluetooth system or something like that you can use. So it just depends on where you work. But that is really fun. I just really love compounding medications. One of my favorite things to do. You have to write down the NDCs of each thing that you're using to compound. You have to write down your amount. You have to write down how much you're going to be making, 1 batch, 2 batch, 3 batches. Also, you have to write down I said the NDC, right? You also have to write down the lot number and different things like that. And then after that, you just, sign your name, put the date. Every hospital is different, but your pharmacist will then come behind you to make sure you have everything you say you have, and they'll double check your dates as well, because each compounded medication has a different expiration date. Each medication within the compound medication has a different expiration date. You're going to go ahead and do that, let them check it, and then you are good to go. You can go and have fun and make your medication and just have a good time. So I love that. The next thing I love too is prepacking. Prepacking is where you have a bottle of medications, like of pills or capsules, and then you actually put those into individual unit doses. So there's a machine called a prepack machine, and you put it on the top. I'm trying to describe it to you. Put the medication on the top, and then you have like these little bitty slots that each pill goes into, and you just kind of watch it go round and round, and you have like this big long unit dose paper that has sticky stuff on it, and basically as it's going through the machine, it's making unit doses, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which is different from retail because you're used to counting in 30s and 60s and 90s and above, to whereas here everything is 1. So it's like 1, 1, 1, and 1, like I said, a big long string of medication. If I can find a picture somewhere to insert, I will. I do not record myself at work because I like my job. I would not be doing that. Other people do it over on YouTube. Go and watch them, but I don't do that because that's where I make money, and I want to continue to make money there. The next thing, which is last but not least, but also necessary, is called, I don't want to call it filling. I want to call it picking. And different hospitals call it different things. But we're going to say picking. Picking is where you do just that. You are within a section of the pharmacy, and you basically have to use either a scanner, or you can just pick and then scan later. But what you're doing is you're basically taking medications out of inventory to fill a piece of paper that comes out. It's a report. That report is going to tell you what the hospital needs, hospital-wide, every single day. And so picking is actually something that people typically do not like to do because it is a lot of like work. You have to, walk around the pharmacy a lot, but it is something that if you enjoy being inside the pharmacy, then you will enjoy picking because you pretty much never leave the pharmacy. So if that's something that you enjoy, you like being in one place, in one location, if you really liked filling in a retail pharmacy, you will understand the different, you will understand picking. So if you like filling, you'll understand picking. So let's just say that. And like I said, it's one of those things that you are pretty much in the pharmacy the entire day, and that's what you do. But I like picking sometimes, but most times I don't. I like being the delivery. So I like being the result of the picking. So the people pick and then I deliver. And what's funny is that most people actually don't like delivering, right? Because they want to be in one place all day, whereas I want to be out and about and seeing all the things, right? So there's that on that. So that's another thing you can do as well, called picking. I think I touched on everything that you can do in the hospital pharmacy, like I said, either on the adult side or the pediatric side. So those are pretty much some of the highlights of working in the inpatient hospital setting. So overall, I really enjoy working in inpatient pharmacy versus retail pharmacy for 2 reasons. Number one, I have more autonomy when it comes to the work that I'm doing, so I have more independence. And then number 2, I actually get paid more. So when it comes to retail pharmacy and hospital pharmacy, where I live, hospital pharmacy technicians being certified get paid more than a typical hourly rate for a retail pharmacy technician. So also you get exposed to different jobs in the hospital, and that's really cool too, just in case you want to move on in your career in healthcare. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you have any experiences you want to share, let me know in the comment section below, and I will talk to you on the next upload.